A pregnant woman, a misfired message, a stranger who answers with kindness and keeps answering. But when the truth of who he is comes out, will the connection they built survive? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Maya Ellis stood in front of her bathroom mirror staring at her reflection. At 28, she looked tired beyond her years. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and the bags under her eyes told the story. Of too many sleepless nights, she placed her hands on her very pregnant belly and took a deep breath. Just one more day, she whispered to herself. One more day of work, then you can rest. Being 9 months pregnant and still working as a courier wasn't ideal, but Maya didn't have a choice. The bills wouldn't pay themselves. The baby's father, Rick, had disappeared the moment she told him about the pregnancy. "I'm not ready for responsibility," he had said before walking out the door, never to be seen again. Maya carefully put on her uniform, a navy blue shirt that barely stretched over her belly and comfortable pants. She grabbed her courier bag, as the stack of envelopes she needed to deliver today. Her final delivery was at Wexley Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Manhattan. She'd been dreading it all week. "We can do this, little one," she said, gently rubbing her belly. "We've always managed on our own, haven't we?" The morning rush hour in New York City was brutal. Maya squeezed into the crowded subway, ignoring the stares from other passengers. Nobody offered her a seat. By the time she reached her first delivery, her back was already aching. By noon, Maya had completed most of her deliveries. She saved Wexley Tower for last, knowing the express elevator ride to the 47th floor would be the hardest part of her day. As she entered the impressive glass and steel building, she couldn't help but feel out of place among the well-dressed executives, rushing past her. "Delivery for Wexley Enterprises," she said to the security guard at the front desk, showing her courier badge. The guard barely looked at her. "Express elevator is on the right." Maya waited for the elevator, shifting her weight from side to side, to ease the pressure on her lower back. When the doors opened, she stepped inside and pressed the button for the 47th floor. Just as the doors were about to close, a hand reached in to stop them. "Hold it, please," a deep voice called out. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped in, his attention focused on the tablet in his hand. He briefly glanced up at Maya, nodding politely before returning to his screen. She immediately recognized him from business magazines. Grayson Wexley himself, the reclusive billionaire CEO of Wexley Enterprises. He looked younger in person than in the photos she'd seen, maybe early 30s. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his clean-shaven face revealed strong features. Maya pressed herself against the wall of the elevator, trying to make herself as small as possible. The elevator began its smooth ascent. Floor 10, 20, 30. Between floors 39 and 40, Maya felt a sudden warm rush between her legs. At first, she thought she'd embarrassingly wet herself, but then she realized what was happening. "Oh no," she gasped, clutching the railing. The elevator suddenly jerked to a stop. The lights flickered, and then the main lights went out, leaving only the dim emergency lights. Grayson Wexley looked up from his tablet with a frown. "Perfect timing," he muttered, reaching for the emergency phone. That's when he noticed Maya's face contorted in pain, her knuckles white as she gripped the railing. "Are you okay?" he asked, suddenly concerned. Maya shook her head, her breath coming in short gasps. "My water just broke. I think I'm having the baby. Now." Grayson's eyes widened in shock. For a moment, he stood frozen, his tablet forgotten, in his hand. Then to Maya's surprise, he set everything down and moved toward her. "Okay," he said, his voice surprisingly calm. "Let's not panic. I'm going to call for help." He picked up the emergency phone, but there was no response. He tried his cell phone next, but there was no signal. "So of course," he muttered, "we're stuck between floors." Maya let out a cry as a contraction hit her. Grayson was at her side in an instant, helping her to sit down on the floor of the elevator. "I'm Grayson Wexley," he said, removing his suit jacket and folding it to create a cushion for her back. "I know who you are," Maya managed through gritted teeth. "I'm Maya Ellis. Maya, I'm going to help you through this, okay? We'll get through this together." She looked at him skeptically. "Have you ever delivered a baby before?" "No," he admitted, "but I've been through worse crisis situations. This is just another problem to solve." Maya would have laughed if another contraction hadn't hit her. She cried out, grabbing Grayson's hand without thinking. To her surprise, he didn't pull away. Instead, he squeezed back, offering strength. "Breathe, Maya," he instructed. "Like this." He demonstrated deep, steady breaths. Maya tried to follow his example, finding some relief in the rhythm of their shared breathing. "The building has backup generators," Grayson explained. "The emergency system should kick in soon and they'll get us out of here." "I don't think the baby wants to wait," Maya gasped. The contractions were coming faster now. Maya had attended enough birthing classes to know that things were progressing quickly. Too quickly. Grayson pressed the emergency button again, then used his phone's flashlight to better see Maya's condition. "I need to check how far along you are," he said, his voice professional but gentle. "May I?" Maya nodded, beyond embarrassment now. Grayson helped her remove her pants, trying to maintain her dignity as much as possible. "I think I can see the baby's head," he said, his composure slipping for the first time. "Maya, I think you need to push with the next contraction." "This isn't how I planned it," Maya cried, tears streaming down her face. "Not here, not with a stranger." Grayson moved to sit behind her, allowing her to lean back against his chest. He wrapped his arms around her, offering support. "I'm not going anywhere," he promised. "We're going to do this together." When the next contraction came, Maya pushed with all her might, screaming through the pain. Grayson kept talking to her, his voice steady and encouraging. "You're doing great, that's it, another push." Maya had never felt pain like this before, but through the haze of agony, she was aware of Grayson's presence, solid, calm, and unexpectedly kind. This man, who could have been annoyed or disgusted by her situation, was instead fully present, helping her through the most vulnerable moment of her life. "One more big push, Maya," Grayson urged. "I can see the shoulders." With a final, gut-wrenching effort, Maya pushed. The relief was immediate as she felt the baby slide into Grayson's waiting hands. For a moment there was silence. Then a small angry cry filled the elevator. "It's a boy," Grayson announced, his voice thick with emotion. "A beautiful baby boy." He quickly removed his silk tie and used it to tie off the umbilical cord, then wrapped the baby in his shirt. When he placed the tiny bundle on Maya's chest, she began to weep quietly. "Hello, little one," she whispered. "You sure know how to make an entrance." Grayson sat back, watching them with wonder in his eyes. His expensive suit was ruined, his hands were bloody, but he had never looked more alive. "Thank you," Maya said, looking up at him. "I couldn't have done this without you." Before Grayson could respond, the elevator jerked back to life. The lights came on, and they began moving again. "Perfect timing," Grayson said with a small smile. When the doors opened on the 47th floor, they were met by a crowd of shocked executives and security personnel. Within minutes, paramedics arrived and took over, carefully helping Maya onto a stretcher. As they were preparing to take her away, Maya reached for Grayson's hand. "Will you come with us?" she asked, suddenly afraid to be alone. He hesitated only, for a moment before nodding. "Of course." In the ambulance, Maya watched as Grayson called his assistant, cancelling all his meetings for the day without explanation. He sat beside her, still wearing his blood-stained white undershirt, looking nothing like the powerful CEO he was supposed to be. At the hospital, the medical team quickly took Maya and the baby for examination. Grayson waited in the hallway, suddenly unsure of his place in this story. He was a stranger after all. The crisis was over. He should probably leave, but he couldn't bring himself to walk away. Hours later, a nurse approached him. "Mr. Wexley, she's asking for you." He found Maya in a private room, looking exhausted but radiant. The baby was sleeping in a small bassinet beside her bed. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," he replied, standing awkwardly at the door. "How are you feeling?" "Like I just pushed a human being out of my body in an elevator," she said with a tired smile. "They're both doing well, according to the doctors." Grayson raised an eyebrow. "Both?" Maya's smile widened. "Surprise, it's twins. The second one came after we got to the hospital. A girl." Grayson's eyes widened in shock. "Twins? You didn't know?" I couldn't afford many doctor visits, she admitted. The last ultrasound I had was at 4 months, and I guess she was hiding behind her brother. Grayson moved closer to the bassinet, looking down at the tiny boy swaddled in a hospital blanket. He's beautiful, he said softly. What's his name? I'm thinking of calling him Elias, Maya said. And his sister Ella. Elias and Ella, Grayson repeated. I like those names. An awkward silence fell between them. They were strangers who had shared an incredibly intimate experience. Now what? Thank you again, Maya finally said, for everything you did today. Grayson shook his head. I just happened to be there. No, Maya insisted. You could have panicked or been disgusted. Instead, you were amazing. Grayson looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. She was beautiful, even in her exhausted state. There was a strength in her eyes that impressed him. I should let you rest, he said, moving toward the door. Will I see you again? Maya asked, surprising herself with the question. Grayson paused, then turned back with a small smile. I'd like that, he said, if it's okay with you. As he left the hospital, Grayson realized he felt different somehow. For years, he had been the powerful CEO, surrounded by people who wanted something from him. But for a few hours today, he had just been a man helping a woman bring life into the world. And it had felt more real than anything he'd experienced in a long time. The next morning, Maya woke to find a large basket of baby supplies beside her bed, diapers, clothes, blankets, and more. The card simply read, For Elias and Ella, GW. And beside it stood Grayson Wexley himself, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, looking nothing like the billionaire CEO the world knew him to be. Good morning, he said softly. Is it okay if I stay for a while? I'd like to hold them again. Maya smiled and nodded, a warm feeling spreading through her chest. She didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel alone. We'd like that, she said. We'd like that very much. 2 weeks had passed since the dramatic elevator birth, and Maya's small apartment had transformed into what looked like a baby supply store. There were 2 of everything: cribs, car seats, strollers, and enough diapers to last for months. Maya stood in the middle of her living room, shaking her head at the latest delivery, a set of custom-made rocking chairs. This is too much, she said when Grayson arrived that evening, carrying takeout dinner in one hand and a stuffed animal in the other. The chairs? He asked, setting the food on the kitchen counter. You mentioned your back was hurting from sitting on the couch to feed them. Maya sighed. Grayson, you can't keep buying things for us. I'm not a charity case. Grayson's expression softened. I know you're not, but I want to help. Is that so? Wrong? Before Maya could answer, little Elias began to cry from his crib. Ella, as if on cue, joined her brother seconds later. Maya moved to get up, but Grayson was already on his feet. I've got them, he said. You eat while it's still hot. Maya watched as Grayson picked up both babies with a confidence that hadn't been there 2 weeks ago. His first attempts at holding the twins had been awkward and nervous, but now he moved with ease, cradling Ella in one arm while gently bouncing Elias with the other. How was your meeting with the lawyer today? Maya asked, opening the containers of Chinese food. Grayson had hired a lawyer to help Maya apply for maternity support and navigate her health insurance claims. His connections had expedited the process. That would have taken months otherwise. Good, Grayson replied, settling on the couch with both babies. The paperwork is all filed. You should start receiving benefits next week. Maya nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and discomfort. She wasn't used to accepting help, especially not from someone like Grayson Wexley, whose net worth was more than she could even comprehend. I don't know how to thank you, she said quietly. You don't need to thank me, Grayson replied, looking down at the twins with a gentle expression. Being part of their lives is enough. Those words made Maya's heart flutter in a way she wasn't prepared for. Over the past 2 weeks, Grayson had become a constant presence in their lives. He visited every day, sometimes just for an hour, other times staying late into the night, helping with feedings and diaper changes. The billionaire CEO had revealed himself to be surprisingly down to earth. He showed up in casual clothes, rolled up his sleeves and wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. He'd even installed the cribs himself, refusing Maya's suggestion to hire someone. I built my first company with these hands, he had said. I think I can manage a crib." Maya brought 2 plates of food to the living room and sat beside Grayson. They ate while taking turns holding the twins, falling into the comfortable routine they'd established. "How's work?" Maya asked. Grayson had gone back to his CEO duties after the first few days, though he made sure to visit every day. A shadow crossed his face. "Challenging. The board is pushing for some cuts I don't agree with." "What kind of cuts?" Grayson hesitated. "They want to streamline operations, which means closing some of our smaller divisions and community initiatives." "And you don't want to?" Maya was surprised. The business magazines always portrayed Grayson Wexley as a ruthless businessman. "I used to think it was simple," he admitted. "Numbers on a spreadsheet. But lately," he looked down at the twins. "Lately I've been thinking more about the human cost." Maya studied his face, seeing a vulnerability there she hadn't noticed before. "You're not what I expected, Grayson Wexley," he smiled. "Is that a good thing?" "I'm still deciding," she teased. Later that night, after the twins were asleep, Maya and Grayson sat on her small balcony, looking out at the city lights. These quiet moments had become another part of their routine, a chance to talk without interruption. "Can I ask you something personal?" Grayson said, breaking the comfortable silence. "Sure. Why were you still working as a courier at 9 months?" "Pregnant," Maya sighed. "I didn't have a choice. I needed the money, and my boss was understanding enough to keep me on light duty. Desk jobs aren't easy to come by without a college degree." "What about the twins' father?" Maya's expression hardened. "Rick left the day I told him I was pregnant, said he wasn't ready for responsibility." She shook her head. "I haven't heard from him since, and I don't want to." Grayson's jaw tightened. "He doesn't deserve to know them." "No, he doesn't," Maya agreed. "What about you? The magazines always call you a confirmed bachelor." Grayson laughed without humor. "In my world, relationships are usually about what people can get from you. Money, status, connections." He shrugged. "It's easier to stay single." "That sounds lonely," Maya said softly. "It was," Grayson replied, his eyes meeting hers. "Until recently." The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken feelings. Maya was the first to look away, suddenly aware of how close they were, sitting. "It's getting late," she said. "You should probably go." Grayson nodded, respecting the boundary she'd just set. "Same time tomorrow." "The twins would be disappointed if you didn't come," Maya said with a small smile. "Just the twins?" Grayson asked, his eyes twinkling. Maya pushed him toward the door. "Good night, Grayson." "Good night, Maya." After he left, Maya stood by the window watching as he got into his car, not the flashy sports car she would have expected, but a practical SUV he'd bought specifically to transport the twins safely. She couldn't deny the feelings growing inside her. Grayson had become important to her in ways she hadn't anticipated, but she was afraid to trust those feelings. Men like Grayson didn't end up with women like her, and she couldn't afford to have her heart broken again, especially not with 2 babies depending on her. The next morning, Maya was awakened by a call from her doctor's office. "Ms. Ellis? This is regarding your follow-up appointment scheduled for next week." "Yes?" "I'm afraid we need to reschedule. Our prenatal program is being reorganized, and Dr. Lopez will no longer be available." Maya frowned. "Reorganized? What does that mean?" The receptionist sounded uncomfortable. "The program is being scaled back. Budget cuts. I can transfer you to a clinic across town, but the earliest appointment would be in 3 weeks." 3 weeks? But my doctor said it was important to have this checkup soon, especially after a twin birth. "I'm sorry, Ms. Ellis. There's nothing I can do. The decision came from above." After hanging up, Maya sat on the edge of her bed, frustrated. She had chosen that hospital specifically for its excellent prenatal program, using most of her savings to enroll. Now, with postpartum care so critical, they were cutting services? Later that day, while the twins were napping, Maya decided to research what was happening at the hospital. A recent news article caught her attention. Riverside Hospital cuts prenatal services, following acquisition by Wexley Health Solutions. Maya froze, her heart sinking. Wexley Health Solutions was a subsidiary of Wexley Enterprises, Grayson's company. She clicked on the article, reading with growing disbelief. The acclaimed prenatal program at Riverside Hospital will be significantly reduced following its acquisition by Wexley Health Solutions last month. The move, described as streamlining operations by company representatives, will affect hundreds of expectant mothers, particularly those in low-income brackets who relied on the program's sliding-scale payment options. Maya couldn't believe what she was reading. The program she had counted on, that so many women like her depended on, was being gutted by Grayson's company. The very man who had been so caring toward her and her babies was responsible for taking away essential services from women just like her. The sound of the front door opening startled her. Grayson had a key now, another sign of how quickly he had become integrated into their lives. "Maya," he called out, "I brought dinner early, thought maybe we could eat before the twins' evening feeding time." Maya closed her laptop and walked into the living room, her body tense with conflicting emotions. "Is everything okay?" Grayson asked, immediately sensing her mood. "Did you know?" Maya asked, her voice tight. "Know what?" "About Riverside Hospital. About the prenatal program being cut." Grayson's expression shifted, confusion giving way to recognition, then concern. "That's one of the streamlining measures I mentioned. The board approved it last month." "And you let it happen?" Maya's voice rose slightly, though she was careful not to wake the twins. "Maya, it's complicated. The hospital was losing money." "So you cut services to the people who need them most?" She shook her head in disbelief. "Do you know how hard it is for women like me to find affordable prenatal care? That program was the only reason I could afford proper medical attention during my pregnancy." Grayson set down the food bags, his face serious. "I didn't realize you were a patient there." "That's not the point," Maya exclaimed. "The point is that your company is making decisions that hurt real people, women who are trying to bring healthy babies into the world without going bankrupt. The board made that decision based on financial reports. I didn't—" "You're the CEO," Maya cut him off. "You could have stopped it." Grayson ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely troubled. "You're right. I could have paid more attention. I should have." His admission took some of the wind out of Maya's sails, but her disappointment remained. "You helped me bring my babies into this world," she said quietly, "but your company made it harder for women like me to survive in it." The twins began to cry from the bedroom, as if sensing the tension. Maya turned to go to them, then paused and looked back at Grayson. "I think you should leave," she said. "I need some time to think." Grayson looked like he wanted to argue, but after a moment he nodded. "Okay, but Maya, please know that I never intended to hurt anyone." "Intentions don't matter when people are suffering," Maya replied. "Actions do." After Grayson left, Maya sat in the rocking chair, holding both twins close as tears slid down her cheeks. She had allowed herself to believe in a fairy tale, that a billionaire CEO could step out of his world into hers and truly understand her struggles. Now reality had come crashing back. For the next 3 days, Grayson didn't visit. He sent texts asking about the twins, which Maya answered briefly. He also sent more baby supplies, which she left unopened by the door. On the 4th day, Maya received a call from her doctor's office. "Ms. Ellis, I'm calling with good news. The prenatal program at Riverside has been fully reinstated with expanded services. Your appointment with Dr. Lopez is confirmed for next week, and all your follow-up care will be covered." "What? How did this happen?" Maya asked, stunned. "We're not sure. The administration just announced it this morning. Apparently there's been a major anonymous donation specifically for maternal and infant care services. It's enough to fund the program for years to come." After hanging up, Maya sat in silence, processing the news. Could Grayson be behind this? It seemed too coincidental. Her phone buzzed with a text from Grayson. "Can we talk? I'll come by whenever." "You're ready?" Maya hesitated, then replied, "The twins miss you. Tonight at 7? At exactly 7 o'clock, there was a knock at the door. Maya opened it to find Grayson standing there, looking tired and uncharacteristically uncertain. He wasn't carrying his usual gifts or takeout food. Instead, he held only a small paper bag. "Hi," he said simply. "Hi," Maya replied, stepping aside to let him in. The twins were awake in their cribs, and Grayson immediately went to them, his face lighting up. "Hey, little ones," he said softly. "I missed you." Maya watched as he gently picked up Ella, who seemed to recognize him, making small cooing sounds. Elias reached up with his tiny hands, demanding equal attention. "They missed you too," Maya admitted. Grayson looked up at her. "And you?" Maya crossed her arms. "I heard the prenatal program at Riverside is back, with expanded services." Grayson nodded, not denying his involvement. "It was the right thing to do." "An anonymous donation?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "I didn't do it for recognition," Grayson said, carefully setting Ella back down and picking up Elias. "I did it because you were right. My company was hurting people and I wasn't paying attention." Maya moved closer, watching him with the babies. "So you fixed one problem. What about all the others?" Grayson met her gaze. "I've spent the last 3 days reviewing every division of my company, looking for similar situations. I've already reversed 4 other cost-cutting measures that would have hurt vulnerable communities." He paused. "And I've established a new policy requiring social impact assessments before any service reductions." "Why?" Maya asked, needing to hear him say it. "Because you made me see the world differently," Grayson admitted. "Before I met you, before Elias and Ella, business decisions were just numbers on a page. Now I see the people behind those numbers." He set Elias down gently and reached for the paper bag he had brought. From it, he pulled out a tiny pair of baby socks, one pink, one blue. "I was there for their first breath," he said quietly. "I'd like to be there for all the rest, if you'll let me." Maya felt tears welling in her eyes. "You can't just buy your way into our lives, Grayson. It doesn't work that way." "I know," he said, stepping closer to her. "That's not what I'm trying to do. These past few weeks with you and the twins have been the most real thing I've ever experienced. When I'm here, I'm not CEO Grayson Wexley. I'm just me." "And who is that?" Maya asked softly. "Because I'm not sure I know." "I'm still figuring that out," Grayson admitted, "but I'd like to do it with you, if you'll give me another chance." Maya looked at him, really looked at him. The man standing before her wasn't the powerful businessman the world knew. He was just a man who had held her hand through the most painful and beautiful moment of her life. A man who had rocked her babies to sleep and assembled cribs at midnight. A man who, when confronted with his mistakes, had actually listened and changed. "The twins have a checkup next week," she said finally. "They might need someone to hold them while I talk to the doctor." Grayson's face broke into a relieved smile. "I can do that. And I need to start looking for a job soon," Maya continued. "I can't be a stay-at-home mom forever." "About that," Grayson said hesitantly. "Wexley Enterprises is launching a new maternal wellness initiative. We need someone with first-hand experience to help shape the program. Someone who understands what women really need." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Are you offering me a job?" "Only if you want it," Grayson said quickly. "And only if you promise to be brutally honest with me, especially when I'm wrong." "I think I can manage that," Maya said with a small smile. Grayson took her hand, his touch gentle. "I've missed you," he said softly. "All 3 of you." Maya squeezed his hand. "We missed you too." As if on cue, both twins began to fuss. Maya and Grayson moved together to attend to them, falling back into their familiar routine, as if the past few days hadn't happened. Later that night, after the twins were asleep, Maya and Grayson sat on the balcony again, closer this time, their hands intertwined. "I can't promise I'll always get it right," Grayson said, "but I can promise I'll always listen when you tell me I'm wrong." "And I can't promise this will be easy," Maya replied. "Our worlds are very different." "Maybe they don't have to be," Grayson suggested. "Maybe we can build something new together." Maya looked up at the night sky. She felt a sense of possibility she hadn't experienced in a long time. The future was uncertain, but for once that uncertainty didn't scare her. Whatever came next, they would face it together. An unlikely family, formed in the most unexpected place, between 2 floors of a towering skyscraper. "One day at a time," she said, leaning against Grayson's shoulder. "One day at a time," he agreed, pressing a gentle kiss to the top of her head. In the nursery, The twins slept peacefully, unaware of the journey that had brought them here, or the new journey that was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the twins were born. Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror, trying on her 4th outfit of the morning. Nothing seemed right for her first day at Wexley Enterprises. Too casual, she muttered, pulling off the blouse she had just put on. Too formal, she said about the next one. How you look beautiful in all of them, Grayson said from the doorway, holding Elias while Ella slept in the portable crib nearby. Maya smiled at him through the mirror. Easy for you to say. You're not the one starting a new job at a company where everyone will be watching your every move. Grayson walked over and kissed her cheek. They'll be watching because you're brilliant, not because of us. The word hung in the air between them. What exactly were they? Over the past 3 months, their relationship had deepened into something neither of them had expected. Grayson spent most nights at Maya's apartment now, helping with late-night feedings and early morning diaper changes. They functioned like a family, but they had yet to put a label on what they were to each other. Are you sure this is a good idea? Maya asked, finally settling on a simple navy dress. Me working at your company? It's a great idea, Grayson assured her. The Maternal Wellness Initiative needs someone who understands the challenges firsthand. And you've already drawn up the most comprehensive proposal we've seen. Maya took Elias from Grayson's arms, kissing her son's forehead. And the nanny? Are you sure she's qualified? Mrs. Rodriguez comes with the highest recommendations and 20 years of experience, Grayson reminded her. Plus, she raised 5 children of her own. The twins will be in good hands. As if on cue, the doorbell rang. Mrs. Rodriguez, a warm, grandmotherly woman in her 60s, arrived exactly on time. Maya spent the next 30 minutes going over detailed instructions while Grayson watched with amusement. We should go, he finally said, gently guiding Maya toward the door. Mrs. Rodriguez knows how to reach us if she needs anything. Saying goodbye to the twins was harder than Maya had anticipated. She kissed each of them multiple times, tears welling in her eyes. It's just for a few hours, Grayson reminded her, taking her hand. They'll be right here when you get back. The drive to Wexley Tower was quiet, with Maya growing more nervous by the minute. When they pulled into the underground parking garage, Grayson turned to her. Ready? Maya took a deep breath. As I'll ever be. One more thing, Grayson said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small box and handed it to her. Maya opened it to find a beautiful silver pendant in the shape of 2 intertwined circles. What's this for? For luck, Grayson said, and to remind you that you're not alone anymore. Maya blinked back tears as she put on the necklace. Thank you. Also, Grayson added more seriously, there's something you should know before we go up there. The board doesn't exactly approve of our relationship. Maya's heart sank. Because I'm not from your world. Because they think it's affecting my judgment, Grayson corrected. The changes I've been making since we met, reversing cost-cutting measures, investing in community programs, it's not sitting well with some of the old guard. And by old guard, you mean your father's friends, Maya guessed. Grayson nodded. His father, the founder of Wexley Enterprises, had passed away 5 years ago, leaving Grayson in charge. But many of the board members were still loyal to his father's profit-first philosophy. Just be prepared for some cold shoulders, Grayson warned, especially from Victor Harrington. He was my father's closest friend and thinks he knows what's best for the company. I can handle cold shoulders, Maya assured him. I've dealt with worse. They took separate elevators up, Grayson to the executive floor and Maya to the community initiatives department on the 42nd floor. Before they parted, Grayson squeezed her hand. Knock them dead, he said with a wink. Maya's new office was small, but had a stunning view of the city. Her team consisted of 4 people who seemed genuinely excited about the Maternal Wellness Initiative. By lunchtime, Maya was feeling more confident. Her ideas were being well received, and her team respected her experience. At noon, her assistant knocked on her door. Ms. Ellis, there's a Mr. Harrington here to see you. Maya straightened her dress and took a deep breath. Send him in. Victor Harrington was in his 60s with silver hair and cold blue eyes. He entered her office without waiting for an invitation, looking around with thinly veiled disdain. So you're the new director of the Maternal Wellness Initiative, he said, not bothering to introduce himself. Yes, I am, Maya replied, extending her hand. Maya Ellis. Harrington ignored her hand. Let me be direct, Ms. Ellis. I don't know what game you're playing with Grayson, but it won't work. Maya dropped her hand, her spine stiffening. Excuse me? Grayson Wexley is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, Harrington continued. He has a responsibility to this company and its shareholders. Whatever arrangement you two have is becoming a distraction. My relationship with Grayson is none of your business, Maya said evenly. It becomes my business when he starts making emotional decisions that affect the bottom line, Harrington countered. This maternal wellness initiative is just the latest example, a drain on resources with minimal return on investment. Maya felt her temper rising but kept her voice calm. If you think helping mothers and babies access quality health care is a waste of resources, Mr. Harrington, then we have very different values. Values don't pay dividends, Harrington said dismissively, and they don't keep this company competitive. Actually, Maya replied, studies show that companies with strong social responsibility programs perform better long-term. I'd be happy to send you the research. Harrington's eyes narrowed. You've known Grayson for what, 3 months? I've known him since he was born. I was his father's right-hand man for 30 years. And yet, Maya said, you don't seem to have much faith in his judgment. His judgment was fine until he met you, Harrington said bluntly. Now he's throwing money at charity cases instead of focusing on growth. Maya stood up, her patience at an end. I think we're done here, Mr. Harrington. I have work to do. Harrington didn't move. Let me make you an offer, Ms. Ellis, $1 million cash, tax-free. You take the money, leave Grayson and this company, and raise your children comfortably far away from here. Maya stared at him in disbelief. You're trying to buy me off? I'm offering you a solution that benefits everyone, Harrington corrected. Grayson gets back on track with running this company properly. The board stops questioning his every decision, and you get financial security for your family. Get out, Maya said, her voice dangerously quiet. Get out of my office right now. Harrington shrugged, unperturbed by her anger. Think about it. The offer stands for 1 week. He placed a business card on her desk. Call me when you come to your senses. After he left, Maya sank back into her chair, shaking with anger and hurt. Was this what she'd be facing every day? People thinking she was just using Grayson for his money? She picked up her phone to call Grayson, then stopped herself. This was her battle to fight. She wouldn't run to him at the first sign of trouble. Besides, complaining about a board member on her first day wouldn't look good. Maya pushed the incident aside and threw herself into her work for the rest of the day. By 5 o'clock, she had outlined a comprehensive plan for the initiative's first year and scheduled meetings with local hospitals. As she was gathering her things to leave, her phone buzzed with a text from Grayson. Can't leave yet. Board meeting running late. Take the car home, I'll catch a ride later. Maya texted back her thanks and headed to the parking garage. As she approached Grayson's car, she noticed a sleek silver Bentley parked beside it. A tall, elegant woman in her early 30s was leaning against it, scrolling through her phone. The woman looked up as Maya approached. You must be Maya, she said, her voice cultured and cool. Maya stopped, instantly on guard after her encounter with Harrington. Yes. And you are? Vanessa Caldwell, the woman replied, extending a manicured hand. Grayson's ex-fiancée. Maya hesitantly shook her hand. Ex-fiancée? We were engaged 3 years ago, Vanessa explained. It didn't work out. I see, Maya said, unsure what else to say. Grayson had never mentioned being engaged before. He didn't tell you about me, did he? Vanessa asked, her smile not reaching her eyes. Typical Grayson, always compartmentalizing his life. What do you want, Ms. Caldwell? Maya asked directly. Just to satisfy my curiosity, Vanessa replied, circling Maya slowly. I wanted to see the woman who managed to capture Grayson's attention so completely. Victor says he's like a different person these days. You know Victor Harrington? Maya asked, pieces starting to fall into place. Of course, my father is on the board with him. Vanessa stopped circling and faced Maya. They're concerned about Grayson's judgment lately. We all are. Well, you can tell them that Grayson's judgment is just fine, Maya said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get home to my children. Ah, yes, the twins, Vanessa said with feigned sweetness. Born in an elevator, wasn't it? How dramatic, like something out of a soap opera. Maya ignored the jab and moved to unlock Grayson's car. Just one thing before you go, Vanessa called after her. Did Grayson tell you why we broke up? Maya paused. Despite herself. Because I couldn't have children, Vanessa said, her voice suddenly less polished. A fact I discovered during our engagement. He said it didn't matter, but 6 months later he ended things. Maya turned to face her. I'm sorry that happened to you. Are you? Vanessa asked. Because from where I'm standing, you got exactly what I couldn't give him. A ready-made family. You don't know anything about me or my relationship with Grayson, Maya said. I know Grayson Wexley, Vanessa countered. I grew up in his world. We made sense together. You? You're a novelty, a change of pace. It won't last. You're wrong, Maya said simply, getting into the car. She drove away, leaving Vanessa staring after her. By the time Maya got home, her emotions were a tangled mess. Mrs. Rodriguez reported that the twins had been perfect angels, but even their sweet faces couldn't dispel the cloud hanging over Maya. After the nanny left, Maya fed the twins and put them down for their evening nap. Then she sat on the balcony, trying to sort through her feelings. 2 hours later, Grayson arrived, looking tired but brightening at the sight of her. How was your first day? He asked, kissing her cheek. Interesting, Maya replied, deciding to start with the easier topic. I met Vanessa Caldwell. Grayson froze. Vanessa? Where? In the parking garage. She was waiting for me. Maya watched his face carefully. You never mentioned you were engaged. Grayson sat down heavily. It was a long time ago. 3 years isn't that long, Maya pointed out, and it seems relevant considering she told me you broke up because she couldn't have children. Grayson looked genuinely shocked. She said, What? That's not true, Maya. We broke up because we weren't right for each other. Her infertility had nothing to do with it. Then why did she lie? Maya asked. To cause trouble, probably, Grayson sighed. Vanessa's father lost a lot of influence on the board when I took over. They've been trying to regain control ever since. Maya nodded slowly. That fits with my other visitor today, Victor Harrington. Grayson's expression darkened. What did he want? To offer me $1 million to leave you and the company, Maya said bluntly. He did what? Grayson stood up, furious. I'll have him removed from the board immediately. Sit down, Maya said firmly. That's not going to solve anything. Grayson reluctantly sat back down. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Victor has always thought he knew what was best for me, even when he didn't. He said I was changing you, Maya said quietly, making you soft, bad for business. Grayson took her hands in his. You are changing me, Maya, but not in the way they think. You're making me see beyond spreadsheets and profit margins. You're making me a better CEO, not a worse one. Am I? Maya asked. Because from where I sit, I've caused nothing but trouble. For you professionally. Do you know what happened in that board meeting today? Grayson asked. We reviewed the first quarter financials since we implemented the new social impact policies. Profits are up, employee satisfaction is up, and public perception of the company has improved dramatically. Really? Really, Grayson confirmed. Turns out doing the right thing can also be good for business. Who knew? Maya smiled despite herself. So Victor and his friends are wrong? They're dinosaurs, Grayson said dismissively, clinging to an outdated way of doing business. The world is changing, and Wexley Enterprises needs to change with it. Maya leaned against him, feeling some of her anxiety fade. It's not going to be easy, is it? Us, I mean. The best things rarely are, Grayson replied, wrapping an arm around her. But we'll figure it out together. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the city lights come on as evening fell. There's something else we need to talk about, Grayson said eventually. I've been thinking about our living situation. What about it? Maya asked. This apartment is getting cramped with the twins and all their things, Grayson pointed out, and my penthouse isn't really set up for babies. Are you suggesting we find a bigger place? Maya asked, her heart beating faster. "I'm suggesting we build one," Grayson replied. "Together. A home that's ours from the start, not mine or yours. Somewhere with a yard for the twins to play, close enough to the city for work, but away from the spotlight." "That sounds—" Maya hesitated, overwhelmed by the implications. "That sounds like a big step." "It is," Grayson agreed. "But I think we're ready for it." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "And maybe for this too." Maya's eyes widened as he opened the box to reveal a beautiful ring, not the ostentatious diamond she might have expected, but a delicate band with a unique star-shaped sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. "This isn't how I planned to do this," Grayson admitted. "I had a whole evening arranged for next week, but after today I don't want to wait. I don't care what Victor or Vanessa or anyone else thinks." He slid off the chair onto one knee. "Maya, Ellis, you crashed into my life literally and changed everything. You gave me 2 beautiful children to love, and you showed me what really matters in life. I love you. Will you marry me?" Maya stared at him, tears filling her eyes. This wasn't how she had imagined her life turning out. 3 months ago, she had been alone, pregnant, and struggling. Now she was being proposed to by a billionaire who had helped deliver her babies in an elevator. Life was strange and wonderful and terrifying all at once. "Grayson," she began, her voice shaking. A sharp cry from the nursery interrupted her, then another. The twins were awake and hungry. Grayson laughed softly. "Perfect timing as usual." "Hold that thought," Maya said, squeezing his hand. "Don't go anywhere." "I'm not going anywhere," Grayson promised. "Not now, not ever." Maya went to the nursery and picked up both crying babies, her heart so full she thought it might burst. As she soothed them, she looked back at Grayson waiting patiently on the balcony, the ring box still in his hand. This wasn't a fairy tale. There would be more Victor Harringtons and Vanessa Caldwells to face. There would be people who didn't understand or approve of their relationship. There would be challenges balancing work and family and love. But looking at Grayson, the man who had held her hand through the most painful and beautiful moment of her life, who had changed his entire worldview because of her, who loved her twins as if they were his own, Maya knew her answer. She carried the babies back to the balcony. "Let's do this as a family," she said, sitting beside Grayson with Elias and Ella in her arms. Grayson's face lit up with hope. "Is that a yes?" Maya nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, yes, I'll marry you." Grayson carefully slipped the ring onto her finger, then gathered all 3 of them into his arms. For a long moment they just held each other, a family created in the most unexpected way. "I love you," Maya whispered, saying the words for the first time. "I love you too," Grayson replied. "All 3 of you." As the sun set over the city, casting a golden glow over their little balcony, Maya realized that sometimes life's most beautiful journeys began in the strangest places, like an elevator stuck between the 39th and 40th floors. The next morning, Maya woke to the sound of Grayson's voice. He was in the nursery talking softly to the twins as he changed their diapers. "And that's how Daddy's going to handle the board meeting today," he was saying. "Sometimes in business you have to stand your ground." Maya smiled, watching from the doorway as Grayson expertly secured Elias's diaper. "Daddy, huh?" she said. Grayson looked up, not embarrassed at being caught. "Too soon?" "No," Maya said, her heart swelling. "It's perfect." Later that morning, as they prepared to leave for work, Grayson seemed unusually quiet. "Everything okay?" Maya asked. "I'm calling an emergency." "Board meeting today," he said, "to announce our engagement and to make it clear that my personal life is not up for debate." "Are you sure that's wise?" Maya asked, concerned. "It's necessary," Grayson replied firmly. "I won't have them thinking they can intimidate you or try to buy you off." Maya nodded, appreciating his protectiveness but still worried about the fallout. "Just be careful. These people have been in your life a long time." "And you're going to be in my life forever," Grayson said, kissing her goodbye. "That's what matters most." At work, Maya found herself constantly glancing at the beautiful ring on her finger. It still didn't feel quite real. A small part of her kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. Around noon, her phone buzzed with a text from Grayson. Board meeting in 10 minutes. Wish me luck. Maya sent back a heart emoji, then tried to focus on her work. An hour passed with no word from Grayson, then two. She was just about to call him when her office door opened. Grayson walked in, his tie loosened and his hair slightly disheveled, but with a triumphant smile on his face. "How did it go?" Maya asked anxiously. "Victor resigned from the board," Grayson announced, along with two of his closest allies. "What? Why?" "Because I gave them a choice," Grayson explained. "Either accept the direction this company is going, including my personal choices, or leave." And they chose to leave. Maya was stunned. "They thought I was bluffing," Grayson said with a shrug. "I wasn't. This company has been successful for 30 years because it adapts to changing times. Those who can't adapt need to step aside." Maya shook her head in amazement. "What about the other board members?" "Surprisingly supportive once Victor was out of the room," Grayson replied. "Several of them congratulated us on our engagement, and the younger members are especially excited about the maternal wellness initiative." "So, crisis averted?" Maya asked cautiously. "For now," Grayson nodded. "There will be others, I'm sure, but today was a victory." He pulled her into his arms, right there in her office. "How about we celebrate tonight? Dinner at that little Italian place you like?" "What about the twins?" Maya asked. "Mrs. Rodriguez already agreed to stay late," Grayson said with a grin. "I may have been confident about the outcome of the meeting." Maya laughed, shaking her head. "Pretty sure of yourself, weren't you?" "Only because I had something worth fighting for," Grayson replied, his eyes serious despite his smile. As they left the office together that evening, Maya noticed people watching them, but instead of the disapproving looks she had expected, she saw curiosity and from some even respect. Outside Wexley Tower, Grayson took her hand as they walked to the car. "By the way," he said casually, "I had my assistant start looking at properties for our new home. There's a beautiful place just outside the city with a huge yard and plenty of room for the twins to grow." "And what if I don't like it?" Maya teased. "Then we'll keep looking until we find the perfect place," Grayson replied. "We have all the time in the world." As they drove away from Wexley Tower, Maya looked back at the building where it had all begun 3 months ago. So much had changed since that day in the elevator. She had gone from being alone and afraid to being part of a family, with a man who loved her and children who were thriving. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be more obstacles, more people like Victor and Vanessa who wouldn't understand their relationship. But for the first time in her life, Maya wasn't facing those challenges alone. She reached over and took Grayson's hand. "All the time in the world," she repeated softly. "I like the sound of that." 6 months had passed since Grayson's proposal. The twins were now 9 months old, growing and changing every day. Elias had recently started crawling, while Ella preferred to scoot around on her bottom, reaching for anything that caught her eye. Maya stood in the spacious kitchen of their new home, a beautiful 5-bedroom house with a large yard just outside the city. They had moved in 3 months ago, after Grayson insisted on having the entire house baby-proofed and renovated to Maya's specifications. "Do you think we're rushing things?" Maya asked, watching as Grayson played with the twins on the living room floor. "The wedding is in 2 weeks. Maybe we should have waited longer." Grayson looked up, Elias crawling over his chest while Ella tugged at his hair. "Why wait? We know what we want." "But it's only been 9 months since we met," Maya pointed out. "Most people date for years before getting married." "Most people don't deliver twins together in an elevator," Grayson countered with a smile. "I think we've been through more in 9 months than most couples experience in 5 years. He was right, of course. Their relationship had never been conventional. And despite the challenges, the disapproving board members, the tabloid speculation, the adjustment to living together, they had only grown closer. Maya's maternal wellness initiative at Wexley Enterprises had become a resounding success already, helping hundreds of women access quality prenatal and postpartum care. Grayson had continued to transform the company's culture, focusing more on social responsibility, while still maintaining healthy profits, and the twins were thriving under the love of both parents. Besides, Grayson added, gently extracting his hair from Ella's grip. I don't want to wait any longer to make you officially Mrs. Wexley. Maya smiled, still not entirely used to the idea. Actually, I was thinking of keeping my name, or maybe Ellis Wexley. What do you think? I think whatever makes you happy makes me happy, Grayson replied simply. The doorbell rang, interrupting their conversation. Maya went to answer it, surprised to find Vanessa Caldwell standing on her doorstep. Vanessa, Maya said, immediately on guard. What are you doing here? Vanessa looked different from the last time Maya had seen her, less polished, more human, somehow. I was hoping we could talk, she said, her usual confidence missing. Maya hesitated, then stepped aside to let her in. Grayson's in the living room with the twins. Actually, Vanessa said quickly, I came to talk to you. Before Maya could respond, Grayson appeared in the hallway, Elias in his arms. His expression hardened when he saw Vanessa. What do you want? He asked coldly. I came to apologize, Vanessa said, looking from Grayson to Maya. To both of you, but especially to you, Maya. Maya and Grayson exchanged surprised glances. This was the last thing they had expected. Let's go to the study, Maya suggested, leading the way to a comfortable room at the back of the house. Once they were seated, Vanessa took a deep breath. First, I want to apologize for lying to you about why Grayson and I broke up. It had nothing to do with my inability to have children. Then why did you say it? Maya asked. Because I was bitter, Vanessa admitted, and because Victor Harrington asked me to cause trouble between you two. He thought if he could break you up, Grayson would go back to running the company the way his father did. And you agreed to help him? Grayson asked, his voice tight with anger. I did, Vanessa nodded, looking ashamed. I was still hurt that you had moved on so completely, Grayson, and with someone so different from your usual world. That was exactly what attracted me to Maya, Grayson said. She's real in a way no one in our social circle ever was. Vanessa nodded. I see that now. Which brings me to the real reason. I'm here. She turned to Maya. After Victor resigned from the board, he became obsessed with discrediting you. He's been digging into your past, looking for anything he could use against you. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. My past? He hired a private investigator to look into your life before you met Grayson, Vanessa explained. He found out about your mother's struggles with addiction, your time in foster care, and your ex-boyfriend's criminal record. Maya's face paled. She had never told Grayson the full story of her difficult childhood or about Rick's legal troubles, which had contributed to his abandonment of her when she got pregnant. Victor is planning to leak this information to the press right before your wedding, Vanessa continued. He thinks the scandal will force Grayson to call off the wedding to protect the company's image. Grayson's jaw clenched in fury. That vindictive old... Why are you telling us this? Maya interrupted, studying Vanessa's face. You could have let his plan play out. Because I realized I was on the wrong side, Vanessa said simply. When I saw what Victor was willing to do using your painful past to hurt you, I couldn't be part of it anymore. She looked at Grayson. And because despite everything, I still care about you. I want you to be happy even if it's not with me. Grayson's expression softened slightly. Thank you for the warning. What exactly does Victor have? Maya asked, her voice trembling slightly. Everything, Vanessa replied apologetically. Your mother's 3 stays in rehab, your 4 different foster homes between ages 12 and 18, and Rick's arrest for selling stolen electronics. Maya closed her eyes, feeling exposed and vulnerable. These were parts of her life she had worked hard to move beyond, parts she had planned to tell Grayson about in her own time, when the memories didn't hurt so much. I'll leave you two to talk, Vanessa said, standing up. I'm truly sorry for my part in all this. After Vanessa left, a heavy silence fell over the room. Maya couldn't bring herself to look at Grayson, afraid of what she might see in his eyes. Maya, Grayson said softly, look at me. She slowly raised her eyes to meet his. None of that changes how I feel about you, he said firmly. Your past made you who you are, the strong, incredible woman I fell in love with. You don't understand, Maya said, tears filling her eyes. My mother wasn't just an addict. She would disappear for weeks, leaving me alone to fend for myself. When I was 12, our landlord found me trying to pay rent with the money I'd saved from my paper route. That's when child services got involved. Grayson moved to sit beside her, taking her hands in his. "Tell me everything. No more secrets between us." And so Maya did. She told him about the 4 foster homes, one neglectful, one overcrowded, one strict to the point of cruelty, and finally one kind but emotionally distant. She told him about putting herself through community college while working 2 jobs, about meeting Rick, who had seemed stable and caring until his legal troubles began, about finding out she was pregnant and being abandoned once again. When she finished, Grayson pulled her into his arms. "You are the strongest person I've ever known," he whispered against her hair, "and I love you even more now." "You're not ashamed?" Maya asked in a small voice. "Ashamed?" Grayson looked genuinely puzzled. "Of what? Your incredible resilience? The way you overcame every obstacle life threw at you?" "Maya, if anything, I'm in awe of you." Relief washed over her. "But what about Victor's threats? The press?" Grayson's expression hardened. "Let me handle Victor. As for the press," he thought for a moment, "what if we tell your story ourselves, on our own terms?" "What do you mean?" "You've been wanting to expand the maternal wellness initiative to include support for single mothers and children in the foster care system," Grayson reminded her. "What if we announce that expansion, along with your personal connection to the cause?" Maya considered the idea. "Turn my story from a potential scandal into something positive?" "Exactly," Grayson nodded. "Your past isn't something to be ashamed of, Maya. It's something to be proud of. Look how far you've come." For the first time, Maya began to see her difficult childhood not as a source of shame, but as the forge that had shaped her strength and determination. And now that same past could potentially help others in similar situations. "Let's do it," she decided. "But I want to call my mother first." Grayson looked surprised. "You're still in contact with her?" "Occasionally," Maya admitted. "She's been sober for 3 years now. She lives in a small apartment in Queens. I've been sending her money every month, but I haven't seen her since before the twins were born." "Do you want to invite her to the wedding?" Grayson asked gently. Maya hesitated. "I don't know. Part of me wants to, but another part is afraid she'll relapse and cause a scene." "It's your decision," Grayson assured her. "Whatever you choose, I'll support you." The next day, Maya visited her mother for the first time in over a year. Patricia Ellis lived in a modest but clean apartment, maintained by the sobriety support program she had joined 3 years ago. When she opened the door, to find Maya standing there, her eyes filled with tears. "Maya," she breathed, "I didn't expect—" "Come in, please." The apartment was small but tidy, with framed photos on the walls, many of them pictures Maya had sent of the twins. "I've been following your story in the news," Patricia said, as they sat at her small kitchen table. "You and—" To that billionaire, I could hardly believe it was my Maya they were talking about. "His name is Grayson," Maya said. "We're getting married in 2 weeks." Patricia's eyes widened. "Married? That's wonderful." She hesitated. "I don't suppose I'm invited." "Actually, that's partly why I'm here," Maya said. "I want you to come to the wedding, but I need to know you'll stay sober." Patricia reached across the table, tentatively taking Maya's hand. "I've been sober for 3 years, 2 months, and 14 days, she said. "I count every day, and I'll stay sober for your wedding. I promise." Maya wanted to believe her. After a lifetime of broken promises, it wasn't easy. But the woman sitting across from her seemed different from the mother she remembered. Steadier, more present. "There's something else," Maya continued. "A man named Victor Harrington has been investigating our past. He's planning to leak details to the press to try to sabotage my relationship with Grayson." Patricia's face fell. "Oh, Maya, I'm so sorry. My mistakes keep hurting you even now." "No," Maya said firmly. "I'm not letting him turn our story into a scandal. Grayson and I are going to announce an expansion of my maternal wellness initiative to include support for children in foster care and for families struggling with addiction. We're going to tell our story ourselves." Patricia looked at her daughter with new respect. "You've become such a strong woman, Maya, so much stronger than I ever was." "I had to be," Maya replied simply. Your babies, Patricia said, changing the subject. When can I meet them? How about now, Maya suggested. They're with Grayson at home. Patricia's eyes lit up. I'd like that very much. That afternoon, Patricia Ellis met her grandchildren for the first time. She sat in the spacious living room of Maya and Grayson's home, Ella on her lap, while Elias crawled around her feet. They're beautiful, she said, tears streaming down her face. Perfect. Grayson, who had been initially wary of Patricia, watched as the older woman gently played with the twins. Whatever her failures in the past, she clearly adored her grandchildren. We'd like you to be part of their lives, Grayson said, surprising both Maya and Patricia, if you're willing to stay sober and be reliable. I'd like that more than anything, Patricia replied, and I promise I won't let any of you down again. 3 days later, Wexley Enterprises held a press conference announcing the expansion of the Maternal Wellness Initiative. Maya stood at the podium, Grayson by her side, and told her story, not as a victim but as a survivor. I know firsthand the challenges faced by children in the foster care system and by families torn apart by addiction, she said, her voice steady and clear. That's why this initiative is so personal to me. Every child deserves stability, safety, and love. And every parent deserves the support they need to provide those things. The press coverage was overwhelmingly positive. Victor Harrington's attempts to leak Maya's past as a scandal backfired completely. The story was already public, told on Maya's own terms, and framed as the inspirational journey it truly was. The night before their wedding, Maya and Grayson sat on the patio of their home, watching the sunset. The twins were asleep inside, watched over by Mrs. Rodriguez, who had become like family to them all. Nervous about tomorrow? Grayson asked, his arm around Maya's shoulders. A little, she admitted. It still feels surreal sometimes. Like I might wake up and find myself back in my old apartment, 9 months pregnant and all alone. That's never going to happen, Grayson promised. You're stuck with me now, Maya smiled, leaning into his embrace. Good. I have something for you, Grayson said, pulling a small box from his pocket. An early wedding present. Maya opened it to find a beautiful gold locket. Inside were tiny pictures of Elias and Ella. It's beautiful, she said, as Grayson fastened it around her neck. Open the back, he urged. Maya turned the locket over and found a small inscription. Found between floors, 39 and 40. So we never forget where our story began, Grayson explained. Maya kissed him, her heart full. As if I could ever forget, the wedding day dawned bright and clear. Despite Grayson's wealth, they had opted for a relatively small ceremony at their new home, with just 50 guests, close friends, Grayson's supportive board members, Maya's team from work, and sitting in the front row, looking nervous but proud, Patricia Ellis. The twins, now crawling enthusiasts, were dressed in matching outfits and helped down the aisle by Mrs. Rodriguez, who beamed with grandmotherly pride. When Maya appeared at the end of the garden path, Grayson's breath caught in his throat. She was radiant in a simple white dress, her dark hair flowing loose around her shoulders, the gold locket gleaming at her throat. As she walked toward him, Maya thought about the journey that had brought them here. From that terrifying, miraculous day in the elevator to this moment, their path had been unexpected, challenging, and beautiful. You look stunning, Grayson whispered when she reached him. Not bad yourself, she replied with a smile. The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. They exchanged vows they had written themselves, promising to face life's ups and downs together, to raise their children with love and understanding, and to never take their extraordinary connection for granted. I, Grayson Wexley, take you, Maya Ellis, to be my wife, Grayson said, his voice steady and sure. You crashed into my life when I least expected it and showed me what truly matters. You and our children are the greatest gifts I've ever received. Maya blinked back tears as she responded. I, Maya Ellis, take you, Grayson Wexley, to be my husband. You stood by me in my most vulnerable moment and have been standing by me ever since. You saw strength in me when I felt weak, and you helped me build a family I never thought I'd have. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the small gathering erupted in cheers. Elias and Ella, startled by the noise, began to cry, bringing laughter to the emotional moment. Grayson scooped up Elias while Maya picked up Ella, and they walked back down the aisle together, a family made official, though in their hearts they had been one for months. The reception was held on the lawn, with tables set up under twinkling lights. As evening fell, Maya found herself standing slightly apart from the festivities, watching as Grayson danced with Ella in his arms, the little girl giggling with delight. Patricia approached, holding a sleeping Elias. He wore himself out crawling. "Under all the tables," she explained, carefully transferring him to Maya's arms. "Thank you for coming today, Mom," Maya said sincerely. "It meant a lot to me." "Thank you for giving me another chance," Patricia replied, "with you and with my grandchildren." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the party. "You know," Patricia said finally, "when you were born, I had such dreams for you. I wanted to give you everything I never had." She looked down, regret etching her features. "I failed you in so many ways." "You did," Maya agreed honestly, "but I survived, and now I have this." She nodded toward the gathering, her husband, their friends, their new life. "Sometimes the hardest roads lead to the most beautiful destinations." Patricia nodded, wiping away a tear. "You're wiser than I ever was." "Mom," Maya said gently, "the past is the past. What matters is now. And I'd like you to be part of our—" "Now, if you're ready," Patricia squeezed her daughter's hand. "I'm ready." Grayson spotted them and came over, still holding Ella. "Everything okay over here?" he asked. "Everything's perfect," Maya assured him. "In that case, Mrs. Ellis Wexley," Grayson said with a grin, "may I have this dance?" Maya handed Elias to Patricia. "Watch him for a minute." "With pleasure," Patricia replied, cradling her grandson close. On the dance floor, with Ella still in Grayson's arms, Maya and her new husband swayed slowly to the music. "Happy?" Grayson asked softly. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Maya replied honestly. "You know," Grayson said thoughtfully, "we should do something special to commemorate where we met." "What did you have in mind?" "I was thinking of renovating the elevators in Wexley Tower," Grayson said with a mischievous smile. "Maybe install a plaque on the one where Elias was born." Maya laughed. "That's one way to make sure no one ever forgets our story." "As if anyone could," Grayson replied, leaning down to kiss her. As they danced under the stars, surrounded by friends and family, with their children in their arms, Maya marveled at the twists and turns of fate. 1 year ago, she had been alone and afraid, facing single motherhood, with nothing but her own determination to see her through. Now she was the director of a successful maternal wellness initiative, married to a man who loved her completely, and mother to 2 beautiful, healthy babies. Her own mother was back in her life, sober, and trying to make amends, and instead of hiding her past, she had embraced it, using her experiences to help others facing similar challenges. Life wasn't perfect. There would always be obstacles to overcome, prejudices to face, and wounds from the past that needed healing. But Maya knew they would face whatever came next together. She, Grayson, and the twins. A family born between floors, now rising together, toward the future. 1 year later, Maya stood in the newly renovated main lobby of Wexley Tower, watching as Grayson unveiled a small bronze plaque beside the express elevator. "In honor of Elias Ellis Wexley," the plaque read, "born between floors 39 and 40 on May 15, 2023. Where life's most unexpected journeys begin." The small gathering of employees applauded as Grayson cut a ceremonial ribbon across the elevator doors. "And now," he announced, "I'm pleased to officially open the new Wexley Tower Childcare Center, available to all employees and their families." More applause followed as Grayson led the group to a brightly colored space that had once been an executive lounge. Now it was filled with toys, books, and child-sized furniture. Through the glass doors, Maya could see Mrs. Rodriguez supervising a group of children, including Elias and Ella, now toddlers who ran more than they walked. "Your idea is a huge success," Grayson whispered to Maya. "The waiting list is already full." Maya smiled, watching as her children played happily with the children of Wexley Enterprises employees, from executives to maintenance staff. The on-site childcare center had been her latest initiative, along with expanded parental leave policies and flexible working hours for parents. Speaking of success, Grayson continued, have you seen the latest numbers from the maternal wellness clinics? Over 1,000 women served in the past year, Maya nodded proudly, and the foster family support program is growing too. They had expanded to 3 clinics across the city with plans for more. Patricia Ellis now worked part-time at one of them, using her own experiences to help women struggling with addiction while trying to parent. We've come a long way, Grayson said, slipping his arm around Maya's waist. We have, she agreed, but we still have further to go. Grayson smiled, down at her. As long as we're going there together. Maya rested her head against his shoulder, watching their children play. Together, she echoed, always. And as they stood there, in the building where their story had begun, Maya felt a sense of completion. The elevator that had once been the site of her greatest fear had become the foundation of her greatest joy. Life moved in mysterious ways, taking people up and down, sometimes stopping unexpectedly between floors. But if you were lucky, truly lucky, you found someone to share the journey with. Someone who would be there through every floor, every stop, every start. Someone who made even the scariest moments bearable and the ordinary moments extraordinary. Maya had found that someone in the most unlikely place, at the most unlikely time. And together, they had created a family and a future neither of them could have imagined on their own. A family born between floors, now reaching for the sky.